My name is Brianna with Premise Health, and this is Yoga for Posture. So this is a 4-week series, and this week we're going to work mainly on neck, shoulders, upper body. We'll work our way each week through different parts of the body that can affect posture, and then the last week we'll kind of do a little bit of combined movement of everything. So as we go along, today we're going to stay mostly on the floor and not use really any props. If you have some and want to use them, feel free. But as we go along, there might be some poses or postures in which you might get a little bit extra benefit from using props. So the first one, if you have, is a yoga strap. Now, it doesn't have to be a technical yoga strap. If you have a bathrobe or a men's tie or a dog leash or something like that that is long enough, not stretchy, we don't want the resistance bands, you can use one of these. Like I said, we won't be using that today, so no worries. The other thing you might want to have at some point, if you have a yoga block, great. If you don't, maybe grab some books that you can stack up, a roll of paper towels, anything with some height to it. And you might want to have enough for each side, so 2 different sets of whatever you have. So that might come in handy at some point. And then the other thing that you may want to have at some point, especially depending on the flooring that you're on, is maybe a blanket or a cushion or a pillow or something a little bit softer for a couple of reasons. One is it will allow, especially if you have tight hips, when we get into the hips, it will allow your hips to be above your knees and help you to be able to sit up a little bit taller. Or if we're on our hands and knees, which we will be a little bit today, if you have a hard floor, it might be a little bit uncomfortable on your knees. So you can always double up your mat or put a blanket or a pillow or something underneath for a little bit more support. So with that being said, like I said, we're going to stay on the floor mostly today. I'm going to walk you through some poses and postures that can help with neck tension, shoulder mobility, and then we'll move through till about 11:50-ish Central Time. So I'm not sure, I'm Central Time, I'm not sure where you are. We'll have a few minutes of what we call Shavasana, just rest, which is always important in any day. And then I'll leave a few minutes at the end for some questions if you have any. And again, no worries if we don't get to hips or whatever today. We're going to get to it all over the course of the next few weeks, and it is being recorded, so you will have access to this later. With that being said, let's get started. Find a nice, comfortable, easy seat. And I say that because maybe sitting cross-legged is not comfortable for you. So if you want to have your legs straight out in front of you, or kneel, or anything else, find a nice, comfy, easy seat. Try to sit up as tall as you can, and this is where those blankets, blocks, props, whatever, you can sit on them to elevate your hips over your knees, and that will help you sit up nice and tall. I'm going to turn sideways for a moment because I see a lot of times when I say sit up nice and tall, this is what I get. So see if you can get your shoulders over your hips. It may almost feel like you're falling backward a little bit, and relax the shoulders. Tension is held in our neck and shoulders, which is why we're starting there today. And so a lot of times, again, your shoulders, even without you knowing it, might start creeping up towards your ears. See if you can relax them. Go ahead and either close your eyes or soften your gaze for a moment. I always like to start every session, no matter what I'm doing, with a little bit of centering. So take a moment here to just really arrive onto your mat. Tune out anything that's going on around you, anything that's on your to-do list or that's bothering you that you might be worried about. Set all of that aside for the next hour. Bring awareness and attention to your body on your mat in this moment. Take a moment here to set aside any expectations or any judgments as we move through some of these poses. Some of you will find them easy. Some of you might find them hard. Every person is going to have a different story and a different body part. Obviously, we can't see each other, so there's no comparison today, but also no judgments. Notice in your body where you feel the most stress and tension or tightness. Notice what feels good and loose and relaxed. And then check in with your breath. Notice what it's like. We don't think about our breath often, and our breath can tell us a lot of times whether we're relaxed or stressed, but our breath can also be affected by our posture. So when we're rounded over a desk typing on the computer all day, it's hard for us to take a nice deep breath. So check in with your breath here. Take a nice big inhale through your nose. Open mouth, let it go. Again, nice big inhale through your nose. Open mouth, exhale, let it go. And then maybe seal your lips and breathe in and out through your nose. But see if you can find a nice big belly breath. So let your belly expand on your inhale. Let everything sink back in on your exhale. And take a moment here. Feel free to keep your eyes closed or blink them open. But as you inhale, shrug your shoulders up to your ears and roll them back and down as you exhale. So nice big shoulder rolls. Just starting to notice what's going on in the neck, the shoulders. Loosening up those areas. Notice what feels like a good stretch. Notice maybe if there's any sticky spots or popping or crunching. And then the next time your shoulders are down, switch directions. Inhale them up, exhale forward and down, and really try to over-exaggerate these movements. Nice and slow as well. The slower you move through some of these movements over the course of the next few weeks, the more you can tell what's going on in there. A lot of times we move fast or we gravitate toward the easiest, most comfortable position, and so we don't notice really what's going on. And slowly come back to neutral. Take a nice big inhale. Reach your arms up overhead and hold your arms up here. Notice when you lifted your arms, if your shoulders also reached up. See if you can slide the shoulder blades down your spine. Take a nice big inhale here, and as you exhale, cactus your arms and think about lifting your chest toward the ceiling. Notice how that feels. Notice if your elbows are in a line with your torso, or maybe you're in front. Maybe you're really open and your elbows are behind your body. Inhale to reach up. Exhale, cactus your arms again. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, reach up. Exhale to cactus. Inhale up. Exhale down, and then hang out right here for a moment. Take a nice big inhale, and as you exhale, bring your forearms together in front of you and start to press your upper back toward the back of your mat. Inhale to open. Exhale, kind of round that upper back as your forearms come together. A couple more times. If you're not used to doing this, you may already be feeling this in your shoulders. Inhale to open. Hang out here for a moment. This next one is going to be a little bit more challenging than those two. Take a nice big inhale, and as you exhale, keep your elbows the same height as your shoulders, but rotate your palms so they face backward. Inhale, bring them back up. Exhale, rotate down. Inhale up. Exhale down. One more time. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale back up. Reach your arms up overhead. This time bring your right hand down to the floor. Reach your left arm up and over for what we call a side lateral flexion. Try to keep your left sit bone connected to the floor, so the tendency a lot of times is to roll over. Keep your sit bone connected to the floor. Maybe play with opening your chest toward the ceiling, maybe closing it down toward the floor. And just kind of notice where you feel a stretch that you feel like your body needs. Lots of options here. You can look up toward the ceiling. You can look down toward the floor. You can look straight ahead. Be mindful of your neck as well. Come back to the center. Keep your right hand connected to the floor. Take your left hand to your head just very gently. You're not using a lot of pressure here. And tilt your head toward your left shoulder. Notice if your right shoulder wanted to raise up, can you keep it down? Create some space between your shoulder and your ear here. Nice big breaths. And then angle your head so you're looking down towards your left knee. Bring your hand to the back of your head. Keep that nice tall spine. Tuck your chin to your chest. And then play with the angle of your head. So some of you might feel a bigger stretch with your head turned underneath your arm. Some of you might feel a bigger stretch with your head turned away from your arm. So find what feels good to you. And release. Bring your left arm to the floor. Reach your right arm up and over. Side lateral flexion on this side. Find what feels good. It might be the same as the other side. It might be different. Slowly come back to the center. Keep your left arm on the floor. Tilt your head toward your right shoulder. Keep your spine nice and long. And then angle your head toward your right knee. Again, play with the angle of your head. Find the stretch that feels good to you. Deep breaths here. And release. On your next inhale, reach your arms up overhead, and as you exhale, twist to your right. Reach your arms front to back. Inhale back to the center. Exhale, twist to the other side. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist. One more time. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist, and this time hold. So maybe your hands come to the floor. Your left arm can come to the floor in front of you, or you can bring your left hand on the outside of your right thigh or knee. Bring your right hand right up next to your body. That's going to help you sit up nice and tall. As you inhale, think about lengthening through your spine, creating space, so that when you exhale, you can twist maybe a little bit deeper. Look over your right shoulder toward the back of your space. Get your neck involved here. As we age, our neck a lot of times becomes a little bit stiffer. We can't turn it and rotate to look over our back shoulder. And that is why a lot of elderly people have car accidents, because they cannot look far enough over their shoulder to see the car in their blind spot or behind them. So we don't want to be those people. Keep your neck nice and limber. Inhale back to the center. Exhale, twist to the other side. Find your twist. You'll have one side probably that feels like an easier twist for you. If you feel like you're restricted in your twist, see if you can figure out where you feel that restriction. Yoga is about noticing what's going on with your body. On your next inhale, come back to the middle, arms reach overhead. Exhale, cactus your arms again. Open up the chest. Bring your arms one on top of the other. It does not matter which arm comes first. We're going to do both sides. If you're able, cross your arms above your elbows. Maybe your hands grab opposite shoulders. Maybe you're able to bring the backs of your hands together. Maybe the palms to touch. I'm going to turn sideways for a moment to show you, because a lot of people on this one, we want to stretch our upper back here. So inhale to lift your elbows, and as you exhale, press them away a little bit, and then just let the upper back round. Let your hands fall toward the floor. A lot of people tend to lean over, and that takes the stretch out of the upper back where we want it. So get a nice little stretch here. Inhale back up, unwind your arms, bring them behind you. You can either place them on the floor or maybe interlace your fingers and press your knuckles into the floor. As you inhale, lift your chest toward the ceiling. Inhale your arms back overhead and cross with the opposite arm on top. And you may have to play with it, figure out which arm you did a while ago. Your body should tell you. Inhale to lift your elbows. Exhale, press them away, and then start to tuck your chin to your chest and round forward. Inhale back up. Unwind, bring your hands behind you. If you interlaced your fingers, interlace with the opposite thumb on top this time. Press into the ground, lift your chest. So again, this is counterbalancing that sitting at the desk, leaning over the computer all day long. And even if you're in your chair, you can always do this, even at your desk. And release. Shake it out. All right. Let's come over into what we call a tabletop position. So in your tabletop, you're going to be on your hands and knees. We're going to do what we call cat-cow. So on cow, you're going to tilt your tailbone up toward the ceiling, drop your belly toward the floor, pull your chest forward as you inhale. As you exhale, tuck your tailbone, round your upper back, tuck your chin to your chest for cat. Keep moving through cat-cow with your breath at your pace, your fullest range of motion. See if you can start with your tailbone and then wave all the way back up toward your neck. So, a lot of sayings in life, happy something, happy life, right? Well, happy spine, healthy life. So we got to keep our spine nice and mobile too. And then come back to a neutral spine. A lot of times when people come back to the middle, they shrug into their shoulders, their belly naturally drops. See if you can actively press the ground away. Keep that back nice and flat. Let's wag the tail. And I'm going to turn and face you for this one, because a lot of times people lean the hips side to side. What I want you to focus on is curving the spine into a C shape. So your hips are going side to side, but your back is staying nice and flat. So we're working on moving the spine in all the directions here. We've already twisted, we've done flexion and extension, and now we're doing lateral moves. When you are even on both sides, come back to the middle. Walk your knees out to about mat distance. Bring your toes together behind you. And then send your hips toward the back of your mat. If you're able to get your hips down to your heels, great. If not, great. Reach your arms in front of you and lower your chest and forehead into child pose. If you are not able to get your head down to the floor, maybe you stack your hands and rest your forehead on your hands. A lot of times this will take some tension out of your lower back. Lower back is another popular place that people feel a lot of tension. Maybe it feels good to sway side to side a little bit like I am. If you want to walk your hands over to one side of your mat for a little side body stretch here, feel free. And then come back over to the other side. And then come back to the middle, back up to a tabletop. We're going to work a little bit on the wrists and the forearms. That really doesn't have anything necessarily to do with posture, but it does help in your work environment. So start to rotate your hands so your fingers face backwards towards your knees. I'll turn sideways so you can see. If your forearms are really tight, your fingertips might need to be closer to your knees. If you're a little bit more flexible, you can walk your hands out a little bit more. This may be your limit right here, and maybe you hang out right here and just let that stretch take place. If you want a little bit more, act like your hands are feet and peel the base of your hand off the ground, bend into your fingertips, and then lower your palm back down and move to the other side. So almost like you're walking your hands on the floor, noticing what you notice here. Every day is different. One more time on each side. And then you can sit back on your heels if that's comfortable and do a little wrist circles. Maybe squeeze the bones together. Sometimes that helps take the pressure out of them. We're going to do one more little wrist thing, and it's going to look and feel a little bit awkward. Find that tabletop position again. Take your right hand palm side up toward your face and plant the back of your hand on your mat. Use your left hand, either a fist or your palm, to hold your right hand down. Try to keep your right arm as straight as you can and just rotate in and out from the wrist. So you're getting a little bit of mobility in your shoulder here and your wrist. And that shoulder mobility is going to help with your chest opening, which is going to help with posture. And let's take it to the other side. Turn your left palm up, right hand goes on top to stabilize, and then start to rotate. It does look very, very awkward, and it feels very, very awkward. Some of you might have very little movement here. Some of you might be maybe double jointed or something and have a lot of movement. No worries. And sink back again. Find some wrist circles. And then we're going to come down into a laying position. If you are unable to lay on your belly, I will show you a different option in just a minute. The rest of you, come on down to your belly for what we call Sphinx pose. Forearms on the ground, elbows right underneath your shoulders, chest is lifted. Squeeze your glutes a little bit to help protect your lower back. Head is neutral, so try not to look up, try not to look down. Not yet, we will. But keep your spine nice and neutral. Act like you're trying to pull yourself forward toward the front of your mat. Nice big breaths. If you are unable to lay on the ground and you have a chair. I don't have a chair or anything here. You can do like a downward dog where your hands are on the cabinet or a chair, and you can just work on getting a nice flat spine here. From your Sphinx pose, go ahead and lower all the way down to the ground. And again, if you're not on your belly, I'll show you a different modification in just a second. Extend your right arm straight out to the side. So not way up high, not way down low. Try to have it straight out from your shoulder. Be mindful of your shoulder. So if you've had any surgeries, any injuries, anything going on with your shoulder, be very, very mindful here. Only go to a nice stretch, so no pain. Use your left hand to roll yourself on top of your right shoulder, opening your chest toward the side of your mat opposite your extended arm. Your leg can be stacked, or you can step your leg behind you and open even a little bit more. But again, no pain here. If you're opening the leg, you might feel it in your hip. You might feel it in your back. Just be mindful. Nice stretch, no pain. You can rest your head on the floor if you want. Stay right there for a few breaths if you're not laying on your belly and you have a wall next to you. You can start, this is not a secure wall, so I'm not going to do it perfectly, but extend your arm and then just start to rotate your body open against the wall. So you can still get that nice stretch even if you're not on your belly. Roll back to your belly. Keep your right arm extended, but this time bring it into an L shape or a 90-degree angle and roll back on top. You won't get as far. This is a deeper stretch, deep into your pec muscles. Pec muscles get tight when you sit at a desk all day. And slowly roll back to the middle. Bring your hands underneath your forehead. Bend your knees and windshield wiper your legs side to side for a moment. And then lower your legs. Let's do the other side. Extend your left arm straight out to the side. Use your right hand. Roll on top of your left shoulder. Be mindful of this shoulder. One's probably tighter than the other. Maybe your dominant side is tighter. Maybe it's the other side for you. And slowly come back to the middle. Bend your left arm into that 90-degree angle and then roll back on top. Check in with your breathing. Anytime you notice yourself holding your breath, you may be a little bit too deep into the pose. If you find that your breath is short, strained, see if you can slow it back down. And slowly come back to the middle. Bring your hands under your head, bend your legs, windshield wiper your legs side to side. And then lower your legs. Press back into your child pose. Again, take your knees mat distance apart, toes together. Sink your chest and forehead toward the floor. And then on your next inhale, come back to a tabletop. From your tabletop, press down through your right hand. Inhale your left arm up as much as you're able to. As you exhale, thread it underneath you. Reach toward the opposite side, but hover your shoulder a little bit off the ground. Inhale, reach back up. Exhale, thread and hover. 2 more times. Inhale up. Exhale down. 1 more time. This time, lower your shoulder all the way down to the floor if you're able to, or if you have a pillow or a block or something, lower to that. Let your head rest against the floor or whatever you're able to. Your right hand can be support, or you can stack it on top of your left and press down and away for a little bit bigger stretch. Maybe you reach it overhead toward the top of your mat, or maybe you wrap it behind you and work to open your chest a little bit more. Slowly bring your right hand back to the mat. Inhale your left arm up. Bring your left arm forward. We're going to work a little bit of core. It's important to keep your core strong for balance and posture as well. Extend your right leg straight behind you. I'm going to turn sideways again. Take a nice big inhale, and as you exhale, knee to elbow. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, knee to elbow. And lengthen. 2 more times. This time, when you extend, hold right here, and maybe you stay right here. Maybe you bend your right leg and reach back with your left hand to grab your foot for a deeper stretch. This will get into your quad and your hip flexor a little bit, also opening your chest. Notice there's a theme here, opening your chest. When we sit at a computer all day, inhale to lengthen, exhale back to tabletop. Our chest muscles get tight and our back muscles get weak. So we've got to work to strengthen our back muscles so we can open the chest. All right, back in tabletop. This time your left hand plants on the ground. Inhale your right arm up. Exhale, thread and hover. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, thread and hover. Inhale up. Exhale down. 1 more time. Inhale up. Exhale, thread the needle. Bring your shoulder to the floor. Find your stretch. If you tried something on the other side, try it on this side. Bring your left hand back to the mat. Inhale your right arm up. Exhale your right arm forward. I'm going to turn sideways again. Left leg goes back. Take a nice big inhale, and as you exhale, knee to elbow. Inhale, lengthen. Knee to elbow. Lengthen. Knee to elbow. Lengthen. 1 more time. Knee to elbow. Lengthen and hold. Maybe you hang out right here. Maybe you bend your leg and reach back to grab your foot. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale back to tabletop. All right, from here, lower down onto your forearms. We call this puppy dog pose. Your hips are still over your knees. Extend your right arm straight in front of you. Cross it over to the top left corner of your mat and sink your hips to the back right corner. So you're reaching in opposite directions. And then come back to the middle. Extend your left arm, cross it over, sink your hips back. And then come back to the middle and just come over into a seat again. Before we move on, take your feet about mat distance apart. Hands can be behind you, and windshield wiper your legs here. As you go side to side, see if you can get both knees down toward the floor. You will probably start to crawl a little bit forward. That's okay. So we're getting a little bit into our hips today. We'll get a lot into our hips in a different session. But come back to the middle. Bring your feet together with your knees out wide. For some of you, it may look like this. That's okay. Try to have your knees as open as you can. Try to sit up nice and tall. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, hinge from your hips and start to pull your chest forward. So when I say from the hips, think of your pelvis like a bucket of water and tilt forward and backwards. So a lot of times people hinge at the waist. Their pelvis tilts backwards as they're trying to reach forward. See if you can tilt your pelvis forward and then maybe round. You'll get a little bit of a stretch here in your lower back. Might feel good to sway side to side a little bit. And then come back up and take your legs out wide. That might be here, it might be here, it might be all the way out wide. Now, the thing here, this is very challenging for people, a lot of people. So if you have that blanket, that pillow, that block, feel free to sit on something. So again, from the side, you're not looking like this. Try to sit up nice and tall if you can. Maybe you're not there today, that's okay. It is called yoga practice for a reason. Not everybody is in the same place. Sit up nice and tall, reach your right arm up, and then lean over to the left. As you lean, try to keep opening your chest toward the ceiling. Hopefully you're going to get a nice little stretch right back here in this part of your back. It's called your quadratus lumborum, and it's a muscle that can get really tight when you sit all day. So keep opening, keep stretching, keep breathing. Slowly come back to the middle and take it over to the other side. Now you might feel these stretches in the place you're supposed to feel them. You might feel them in other places as well, or even as instead of. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, everybody's body is different. You're going to feel it where your body is tight. So if you feel it somewhere else, then that's what needs to be stretched. Come back to the middle. Take a nice big inhale here, and as you exhale, walk your hands forward. It doesn't matter if you walk forward an inch or 10 inches. Just walk forward until you feel a nice little stretch, probably in your inner thighs, in your hip area. And then slowly come back up. Find a nice, comfy, easy seat again. We did quite a bit of shoulder mobility at the beginning of class. We've stretched them out a little bit. So now we're going to do something a little bit different. Over the course, we'll work toward connecting, but today, connecting fingertips is not the goal. Start your arms in a goalpost here. Take one arm, doesn't matter which, and turn it backwards. I'm going to turn around so you can see what I'm doing from the back. So your arms are going to be like this. We're going to bring the arm that's down to the lower back, the arm that's up between the shoulders. When you get there, press the hands into the back and then release and switch sides. Actively press into the back, release and switch sides. So keep pressing. That's the goal here, not connecting the fingers, just the pressing motion. When you are even on both sides, shake it out. And then bring one arm across your chest. Pull it closer to your chest with your other arm. But notice your shoulder. If it's way up here, can you slide it down? And then the arm that's across your chest, take it straight up overhead, bend at the elbow. Try to have your elbow straight up toward the ceiling. Grab the elbow with your opposite hand and pull back. And again, you may not be here. This is the goal to work toward, and you may never get here all the way. That's okay. Nice stretch here in your tricep, maybe your upper back, because this forces you to sit up nice and tall. And release. Cross the opposite arm, pull that shoulder down and back. Take your arm up overhead, bend at the elbow. Use your other hand to gently pull that elbow up toward the ceiling. And release out of that. Shake it out. All right. The next thing we're going to do, one of my favorite exercises, because you can do it on the floor. You can lay on the floor. We are going to lay. But also because it really does show you where your range of mobility needs a little bit of help, and it shows you the difference between both sides. Like I said, usually we've got one side that's a little bit more flexible. A lot of times that's your non-dominant arm because you're not using it all the time. So I'm going to lay on my side facing you first, and then I'm going to lay with the top of my head towards you so you can see the arm movement. We're going to start in basically a fetal position. So you're going to lay on your side, knees are stacked, feet are together, arms are straight in front of you. Your head can rest on the floor, but if that angle is too much for you, place a pillow, a block, a blanket, something underneath your head for support. So this is the starting position. Let me turn this way so you can see from the top. What we're going to do is take our top hand, keep it either on the floor or as close to the floor as you can, palm facing down until it gets above your head. Once it gets here, you can flip your palm and you can rotate your shoulders open, but don't let your hips open. That takes the stretch out of it. Try to keep your hips nice and stacked. See how my hand's coming off the ground? That's a little bit of mobility, range of motion that needs a little bit of work here. And come back around to the starting position. So go ahead and try that. Do about 4 circles on each side, nice and slow. The slower you go, you're going to feel those little sticky points, the little crunching or popping. Your fullest range of motion. Some of you may be way up here. I've got something going on in my left shoulder today. So for me, I'm feeling it right there. If you find a spot that you feel it and you want to hang out and breathe into that, feel free to do so. And then keep moving around your circle. So nice, slow, controlled, noticing where you're tight, where it's easy. And then when you've done about 4 of those, Flip over to the other side and do it on this side. And you might be more flexible on this side. Maybe you're less flexible. See, for me today, this side, I can pretty much keep it on the ground, almost. But the other side, I couldn't. So, observations. And then once you're through with an equal number of circles on both sides, roll over onto your back for a moment. Hug your knees into your chest. If it feels good, you can rock side to side to massage out your lower back. And then from here, rock and roll the length of your spine. Kind of massage it out for a moment. And come back up into a seat. We're going to do one more chest opener. Be mindful of your shoulders. We've done a lot of work on them, so if they're feeling it, be very, very gentle here. Bring your hands behind you, fingertips facing your feet if you can. If that is too much, face your fingertips outward, but try not to face them backwards. Bring your feet about hip distance apart, a little bit in front of your knees. Take a nice big inhale. As you exhale, lift your hips up. See if you can come into a reverse tabletop here. If your shoulders and chest are still really tight, your hips probably won't be all the way up. And lower back down. We're going to do 2 more of those. Again, be very, very mindful of your shoulders. Press through your feet, lift your hips. Lower back down. One more time, press through your feet, lift your hips. Lower back down. And then from here, just roll down to your back. Once you get down to your back, hug your right knee into your chest. Your left leg can stay bent, or you can extend your left leg long toward the end of your mat. Make a few hip circles here. We weren't really working on hips today, but it always feels good to do some hips. So find a few hip circles here, making sure to go both directions. And then come back to neutral. Take your left hand on the outside of your right knee. Extend your right arm straight out to the side. Keep your right shoulder connected to the floor. Try not to adjust your hips before you take your right leg over to the left. See if you can just take your leg over without adjusting anything here. Nice big breaths. Bring your knee back to the center. Give yourself another big squeeze and then switch out sides. Hug your left knee in. Right leg can stay bent. You can extend your right leg. Find some hip circles here. And then use your right hand to guide your left knee across your body, finding that low back stretch. Slowly come back. Bring both knees into your chest. Maybe curl up in a tiny little ball here. And then extend your legs long. Extend your arms overhead. Walk your feet over to the right side of your mat, keeping both hips and both shoulders on the floor. Maybe you stay right here. If you want a little extra, Maybe walk your shoulders over, forming a C shape or a banana shape. You can also play with crossing ankle one over the other. I don't like it. It doesn't feel good in my body, so I don't do it. But if you'd like to try it, see what it feels like in your body, go for it. And then slowly walk your shoulders back to the center, walk your feet back to the center. Hang out here for a breath or two. And then walk your feet over to your left. Walk your shoulders over to your left, maybe. Find that C shape. Maybe cross your ankles. Nice big breaths. And slowly come back to the center. Hug both knees into your chest one more time. Give yourself a big squeeze. Excuse me. Maybe rock side to side, massaging out your lower back. And then when you are ready, start to find your way to a final resting pose. Most people rest in what we call Shavasana. Feet mat distance apart, hands down by the side, palms up. If that does not feel good, laying flat on your back does not work for everyone. Feel free to bend your knees, feet on the outer edges of your mat. Let your knees rest against one another so you don't have to do any work. If that still doesn't work, maybe lay on your side or maybe even sit up. Find a position that you can be comfortable in for the next few moments, next few minutes. Take this time to close your eyes or soften your gaze. Tune out any thoughts that might still be running through your mind. Let go of any tension in your body. Unclench your jaw. Surrender to gravity. Take a nice big inhale through your nose. Open mouth, exhale, let it go. Shavasana. I'll guide you out when it's time. So for the next few moments, all you need to do is just be. Start to bring awareness back to your body, back to your breath. If you are comfortable as you are and would like to remain there a little longer and you have the time in your day to do so, please feel free. If you are ready to get on with your day, start to bring some small movement back to your body. Maybe wiggle your fingers, your toes, your wrists, your ankles. Eventually finding a nice big good morning stretch. Maybe hug your knees into your chest one more time. Give yourself a nice big hug and thank your body for doing what it does for you. And then when you're ready, if you're ready, slowly roll over onto your side. Gently make your way back to sitting. Hands can be in your lap, on your knees, or at your heart center. Eyes can be closed or softly gazing toward the floor. Take a nice big inhale through your nose. Open mouth, exhale, let it go. As you go about the rest of your day and the rest of your week, may you be happy, may you be healthy, and may you be at peace. The light and love in me honors and respects the light and love in you. Namaste.